What is going on, everybody? Mark Harbert here with another episode of the Fearless Influencer Podcast. Today, I'm so excited because I was just at an event recently in New Orleans, and this is the first time I actually got to meet Sarah. And I was so excited because she's just a super awesome person. I got to meet her husband as well. We just had a great time. I think we really connected. And not only that, she is a rock star marketer online. Like she has just crushed it. She's done some amazing things, and I'm excited to have her on. So Sarah Thompson.
Yeah. I'm so excited to be here. I
Yeah.
told everybody I couldn't wait to go to that event and meet you. So it's awesome that we're connected now. It's
Yeah.
good.
I know it, and I always love going to the events too because it's just such a great time to connect with people. And I mean, this online thing can get really lonely, and I think that, without it, without going to events, you really start to feel lonely.
Oh, for sure. I know the very first event I went to. I mean, I was looking forward to it. I was looking forward to like learning and what it could do for my business. But I was surprised how much the relationships I gained helped me in my business. I don't know so much like just having people to talk to understand what it feels like and what you're going through. Yeah, for sure. The people you meet, like-minded people, it's just like a little boost. Like just walk away from there feeling better about everything, I think.
100%. Absolutely. So Sarah, we're still kind of getting to know each other a little bit,
Yeah, yeah,
but I
yeah.
I I know for sure, like, I want to hear your story because everybody's got one, like everybody, how they got started in this, what the reasoning was behind it, and I know you have some reasons too. I know you talked a little bit about that when you were speaking, but I'd love for you to talk about that.
Sure. Well, so back in 2021, when the world lost its mind during COVID, I was actually a healthcare worker. I did physical therapy. Really loved my career. Really loved it. But when COVID happened, I wasn't working hardly. I know that everybody thinks healthcare workers worked a ton. We did not. So I got on TikTok more and came across this opportunity. I had always worked my whole life. I'm from Western Kentucky. So where I'm from, we're coal miners, farmers, teachers, and healthcare workers. Like the only wealthy people I know were doctors and lawyers and people who worked, just buried themselves in work. So when I started hearing about passive income and these people making this money online, I mean, honestly, I didn't really believe it. I just did not believe it. But I decided I was gonna look into it a little bit. Had a vacation coming up, really didn't have money to pay for it. It was gonna be I'm the tightwad, by the way, in the relationship. My husband Jay, if he's got $5, whoop, we're gonna spend $5. Me, I'm like, that's not enough. We can't do it. We can't do it. So, anyways, I took a little training in March, thought I'll make a little money. I really thought it would be something just like selling makeup or, Pampered Chef. I never expecting it to go anywhere. And I just had success. I mean, by the time I took that vacation, I was making, almost more than I was making at a full-time job. And that was just 3 months later. And my mind was blown. I mean, my perspective was changed. I think that so many marketers will tell you about mindset. And I do think that people probably hear that and think it's a little fluffy, like, okay, sure, change your mindset. But once it happens, your mind, you're like, oh my gosh, like I was trapped in this that will never work for me mindset simply because I didn't let myself think it would happen for me. Like I think that's so powerful. I didn't think, I thought I had to work 40 hours a week to make a full time living, or, I was trapped in that way of thinking. So mindset's so big. And even then, even I did an interview very shortly after I got started. And my husband always says he's going to clip that part of the interview because I said, "Oh, I'll never be able to quit my full-time job with this. Like, never. That's not even a goal." But then I did. I mean, I did. And I don't like to tell people it can definitely happen for you. I worked really hard through all of that, but it was a blessing, and you and I, we share a similar faith. I had read a book when I was younger, like a young mom, about how it's great to stay home with your babies. Like, that's a blessing if you can stay home with your babies. I did not have that option. Luckily, I had family that helped me. But in this book, it talked about how moms or whoever, whichever parent stays home, normally go back to work when kids get old enough to stay by themselves after school, like 11, 12, you know. And this book discussed how that's the worst time for a kid to suddenly have free time and be left alone. And it was one of those things I read that really stuck with me. And now I have a 14-year-old daughter, and I've picked her up every day from school. And I'm not saying we're out of the woods, but
Yeah.
I saw that then. Like, I didn't even realize when I was praying that prayer for my kid that this is what God had coming for me. Like, this business works on my time. It works on my time, my kid's time. Like, and it's just such a blessing to me to have that freedom to be present with them, to take them to practices and doctor's appointments. And I don't know, I'm the one that my daughter talks to, and I love that. Like, I never thought I'd have that opportunity, and just it's opening my mind to an online business did that.
Yeah. I remember the first time, I want to say it was probably like second grade, maybe. And I had been full time for about, I don't know, a year and a half or whatever in my business. And I remember going in the middle of the day, they had a dance recital at her school. And I remember going in the middle of the day and I'm like, wow, like I never would have been able to do this before,
Mhm,
you know? And
mhm.
so I hear you. Like, it's really like, I think a lot of times, like, with the online world, people get the idea of, fancy houses and big cars and, all these crazy things. And honestly, when you get right down to it, I didn't get into it for any of that. Sure, like my wife and I, like, we're already talking about, hey, when our daughter moves out, we're going to get a smaller house,
Mm,
you know? And so
exactly.
it's kind of like your whole perspective changes because it really ultimately for me, I know, and it sounds like for you too, is really but just about option, having options,
Exactly.
not having
Exactly.
somebody
Just
rule your what you can do, when you can do it, things like that.
of course, and just being able to, I'm the mom. Like, my husband, it wasn't as easy for him to drop everything he was doing if our kids got sick, and now I can do that. Not that that's what every mom's dream is, but whenever you're a working parent, it's a stress, it's a burden. And really, as a mom, that's what I wanted to be doing. I want to be the one taking care of them. So, yeah, and same thing for me. Like, I'm not a flashy person. That's not who I am. Um, like you and I discussed, just a minute ago, my husband and I would love to buy like an investment property at the beach and enjoy that more often. But it's nothing that's not what I'm in it for.
Yeah.
I'm in it to have time, to have freedom, to have
Yeah.
options, to help other people. That's kind of where the blessing is for me.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great perspective. I think it's balanced one too, which I think is awesome. So, all right. So you get into it, you get into your
Uh-huh.
business and you start going into this. You kind of started a little skeptical and then the belief hit when you got your first check, right?
Right. Oh yeah. Shock.
Right. And you get your first check. And I remember that my first commission, it was $20. I was stoked beyond belief. And then
Yep.
they refunded 2 days later. But then I was like, that's cool. I don't care. It just show me
Whatever.
vibes, and but so you get into it, you start going, and your belief level goes through the roof. So then what was kind of your strategy that you started? Now I know I mentioned video, and that's your main strategy, but let's take us through that process of like, so you found your offer, you started creating videos. What was kind of your strategy?
I'm a little ashamed to tell you that when I got started, I didn't have a strategy. I was a full-time working mom, 2 kids, husband, we're active in church. The content I put out was not thought out. It was just raw, and it was me. And some of my best content as a beginner was literally me walking the track while my daughter practiced softball, like holding my phone in front of my face, telling people what I had learned. Because, like I said, I was a small town girl. My mind was blown. But I just shared that. I was like, did y'all know? Like, not only, can you make passive income, but you can make passive income that could possibly like make you more than your mortgage payment. Like
Mm.
it was so sincere and genuine. I think that's why it came through so well because it changed my life. Like I was literally excited to talk about it. I never had a strategy in the beginning, which like I said, it was 2021. TikTok was big. And 3 years ago, it was fresh content, more content. So I went after it pretty hard. I was pumping out 3 to 5 pieces of content a day. And whether it was, a very quick video or me talking video, I was just putting information out there trying to get traction. And that's how I initially grew my audience. And, that was over 3 years ago. And I still have active people in my community that remember those. They remember that. So yeah, that's how I got started, just being me. I think I was just me because I was truly shocked.
Well, and I love that because the when it gets right down to it, like, I've been doing this for a long time, but the biggest thing that I've always noticed, not just in other people, I see other people doing this, but I've done it. And it's like as humans, we love to complicate stuff. We just like it can't be that easy. Like,
Mhm.
getting on sometimes and just sharing. I mean, you look at some of the videos that go viral and you're like, oh my gosh, like it's just somebody sharing something and it went viral. And, I've seen people go viral where they're just sharing a bad experience they had, at the store or something.
No, yeah, I don't know what you're considering viral. I had a video hit like 2.3 million last year. Mark, I was in our basement repainting bathroom cabinets. And I made this video and I reached down to like turn it off because I was like, I'm gonna have to rewind that and like put that out. Posted it, 2.3 million views. Didn't even have a caption, didn't have a hashtag. Like the follow me for more was cut off because I was like,
Yeah.
but he's so honest. It was so
Yeah.
real. And it was just me talking and it was relatable. And that's what people want more of. You cannot convince me that people want to see perfect people in their perfect houses on their perfect day. They want to see real people who have real results. And so I think that's something big that beginners kind of get mixed up in. They think they need to have something already. And I'm like, no, just be who you are and
Yeah.
show the transformation.
Yeah, that's huge because that is a really, really like big thing for people to understand is like you just have to get out there and start doing. It's not going to be good at first, and honestly, like there's something really unique about the rawness of new, like being new. And that the kind of naivety about like being new and just kind of doing what you know to do. I think, but so things start taking off for you. Okay. And so your videos start getting viewed more and more. So
Mhm.
obviously your goal is to direct these people, your offers and things like that. What would you say was kind of like how did that work for you? And what was your main platform? Was it TikTok at the time?
TikTok was all I did for the first year of my business. That's all I had time for.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was kind of the process too as you started moving people toward offers? Were you just doing some videos kind of talking about what you were doing, things like that?
Yeah, so, I started with my first offer and, as I grew, I kinda started seeing potential to maybe move this to a full-time thing, and I was like, "But I can't just have one offer." I can't I was still practical like that in my mind, and so I kinda started researching other offers or other ways to make money other than just digital marketing. Um, so, I started a community, a Facebook community. That was a really big deal for me. Um, and then I just started offering other things and I started educating people on other things they could use and do. And it was shocking to me how many people wanted to hear my advice. I didn't think that people would really want to hear my advice about things. I, it was still, even though I'd had success, I still like kind of discredited my success because, I just took a training and did it. I don't know. Like, so, I could have quit my job a lot sooner. Actually, I had to have like a medical procedure and I carried my insurance. But once I quit my job is actually when I started doing way more with my business as far as like building offers, building digital products, being able to really help people. Um, and that's not really the part of business that I love. More so, there's a lot of ways to generate revenue online, a lot. And there's people who just love the content side of it. I like the fundamental
Yeah.
part of it. I like the building part of it.
The
And
community
so,
aspect.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is I'll say this too, like the longevity is in the community. Like I fully believe that. Like, I have some amazing students that have been members in my community since 2015, since I started a membership. And they're
Mhm.
still paying today. And it's like, but they're amazing people. I've gotten to know them, things like that. And that's one of the cool things about this is like really getting to meet people. Like, think about this. Like, I would have never met you if I wasn't doing that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
it's really cool how many people you get to meet when you really throw yourself all in on,
Mhm.
and really focus on connecting with people. So that's awesome. I think too, I love what you said. How many videos a day were you making at one point? Like,
3 to 5.
yeah.
I mean, I was making a lot of videos at the time, and that's, changed now as social media has changed. Yeah, I was determined. If other people could do it, I was gonna do it too.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's an important thing too, because if you really want it, you got to go after it. Like, nobody's going to hand it to you, and you only deserve what you go after. I mean, I think a lot of people think, well, I deserve success. You deserve it, but you only deserve what you're willing to work for, and that's really ultimately
Exactly.
what comes down. So,
Yeah. It's funny that you say that. I told you earlier, I'm almost done with my course, and my last module, the name of it is it's go time,
yeah.
and it's like, okay, you've done the training, you have the skills. You cannot get stuck in learning mode because so many people want to know exactly how to post a perfect video before they ever post one. And I'm like, well, you're just delaying your success. You have got to just start. And nobody cares about your content as much as you do. Nobody is going to critique it like you do. Most people are going to scroll right by it and not even see it. Like you just kind of have to get over that part of it and just say, okay, here it goes. I'm going for it. Because I think so many people, they're okay with taking the training.
Yeah.
They're okay with learning something new. They just are really, really afraid of that one step.
Yeah.
And I know that's such a cliche thing to say, but your rewards are normally right outside of your comfort zone. And we even at church Sunday night, our pastor said that we were talking about spiritual gifts. And he said, what are your spiritual gifts? And somebody said the things you're comfortable doing. And my pastor was like, I don't know that that's necessarily true. Sometimes the things that you might be best at are things that you really don't want to do initially. You
Yeah.
kind of have to get out there and be like, oh, okay, maybe this is for me. So I don't know how I just got on that subject,
No, but
but
that's a huge thing for success. One of the things I tell people too is that, when it comes to getting outside your comfort zone, there's two things you have to keep in mind. And a lot of people, they won't do things when they're uncomfortable, and you have to identify like, what is it that's causing you to be uncomfortable? Number one, is it a
Mhm.
violation of your moral code that's making you uncomfortable? Or is it making you uncomfortable because it's stretching you outside of what you think you can do? And if you
Right,
identify, nobody wants to, I certainly don't want to violate a moral code. You know,
right.
I, we all have morals, and we don't want to violate those. But when we know we need to create a video and we're not doing it because we're afraid of some, moron troll on the other side of the world who we'll never meet, who
Right.
and that holds us back, then
Mhm.
something we probably have to address there. So speaking of trolls, okay, I'd love for you to talk about that because I know you've seen your fair share.
I don't have any. Everybody online loves me. They all agree with me.
Oh, I'm sure that's the truth because you was awesome.
No, I made a video the other day. It was a piece of relatable, shareable content that I made. All I did, Mark, was state an opinion. Okay. It was I wish I could like say it word for word. It was pretty much like saying people who consider moms and wives who stay home and clean and cook and get people everywhere and take care of the home, and they classify them as not working is an insult.
Oh, absolutely.
The comment are wow. People are like, "You're a lazy POS," and "I hope your husband's happy." And I'm like, "Whoop, whoop." I never even said I didn't I didn't know Sam. Like people went crazy because there's just trolls there. But here's what I've learned. And the older I get, the more I see things so much clearer. People who are miserable don't want to see people who are happy. And people who are happy will never spend time talking about people who are miserable. Like, there's just such a big disconnect. And so sometimes, I think I'm sure you've been doing it longer than me. Sometimes people can comment on stuff and you're like, man, that was really mean. Like, out, that hurt. But as long as it's not true, they're just a troll. So, but yeah,
that's a huge point too. That's a huge point because I think one of the things I've learned over the last, however long I've been doing this, 16 years or whatever, you start to look and like when people make certain comments, I've gotten to the point where I can listen or read what they say, whatever it is, and I can immediately go, hey, you know what? Maybe they have some validity. And I can learn from it and make a quick, make a change to do something. Or I can look at it and go, that is so not true.
right.
I know what goes on in my head, and that was not, the thing. And so it is. And I think the longer you go, like you said, the older you get, the more experience you get, the more it's easily just able to write it off. And you just can't, like, and the other thing is too, is, being a man of faith, and I know you're a woman of faith too. I mean, I think one of the greatest verses in the Bible was when Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. And if you can't love yourself, you can't love your neighbor. And that is a huge principle. Like if you're not, and so a lot of times when people are reflecting all of that negativity on you, it's because that's really how they feel about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a reflection of that. When you actually understand that, you almost have a little bit of compassion for.
You do. I wish, I have a 14-year-old daughter. I know you have a daughter. I wish that you could just like transfer that knowledge to your teenager.
Yeah.
Because that's that's a conversation you're going to have your whole life. But as much as I'd like to tell her, it won't always be this way. There's really always going to be people who are like, unfortunately. And then that's another thing, being an entrepreneur, it can be a lonely place. It can be, I live in a really small town. I live in a small community, and people have they've made fun of me for making videos online, or they want to, like, I scam people. I'm like, well, you obviously haven't looked into any of my information if you think I scam people. Like, you're obviously just gripping at a reason that I should not be doing it. Like, so it's kind of like a blessing and a curse at the same time. Like it's a blessing when you're an entrepreneur and you own your time and, you found this freedom, but then it's like, oh, but you lose people, but it's kind of a payoff whenever you.
I mean, ultimately it's like, if you were to say, hey, I just took out a $50,000 loan to go to school and go to college, they'd be like, good for you. I'm so proud of you. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so backwards, I think, a lot of times the thing. And it's like, you got, what? That's a big part of success too, is celebrating other people's success. Like, even if you're not having success right now, like celebrate other people, congratulate people. That's part of the gratitude attitude, really.
Yeah.
So no, that's awesome. So, okay. So you started taking off, your offers are selling, all these things. And so your next thing is you're speaking on stage.
Yeah. That, I got the call to speak on stage and I was like, "Oh, what? Me?" I was totally bored. But there again, I don't know, like I had limiting beliefs still, but other people thought stuff in me. And for me, a strength of mine, which you know Matt Helpful, right?
No, I don't know.
Oh, he's good. He's so awesome. I really enjoyed going live. Was kind of one of my things. And he was like, Sarah, you are best live. You are best when you're communicating with people. And he was like, you're going to be fantastic at speaking. And I was so nervous. And Mark, you could ask me tomorrow, Sarah, would you come speak at an event? I'd be like, yeah, I'll be there. What do you mean talk about? I'd love to share some of my knowledge, because once you know something, I'm eager to share it. I'm really like eager to help people. I love talking about it. So I think that's part of it. Kind of finding your passion and how to turn your passion into a profit that way.
Yeah, and it was interesting. Like I was thinking as you're mentioning, I remember the first time I was asked to speak on stage, and then I'd spoken a couple times, and then I was going to speak on stage and sell from stage. It was like, oh wow, it's a whole new level. And so yeah, and I ended up doing it, and I remember it was a huge boost in confidence because probably 70% of the room bought what I was selling. And I thought, wow, I can really do this. And that
Mhm.
belief doesn't really come until you push yourself through something that you didn't think you could do.
Exactly.
That's really ultimately what it comes down to. I mean, from the very beginning, I didn't think I could do this, but I created a video walking down the railroad track. And next thing you know, you're making money, you're getting invited to speak on stage, things like that. But it all started with doing the thing you were uncomfortable doing.
Exactly. Doing the thing I was uncomfortable doing it when I didn't feel like doing it. Yeah, that's hard too sometimes, making yourself do things that you don't necessarily want to do. I read a book one time. I know you're a book guy too. And I'm sure you've read Atomic Habits. Have you read Atomic Habits?
I have not actually.
Uh, It's a
I've read a
very
ton of
easy
books.
read. Yeah. It's just a really good book about, how small habit. Like nobody wakes up one morning and it's like, I'm going to become a successful entrepreneur. It doesn't happen that way. Like you have to make small changes, habitual changes. Like it's a gradual thing.
Have you ever read The Slight Edge?
Nope.
Okay,
I'm
that's a
gonna have to
book you
write
got to
that.
read by Jeff
Okay.
Olson. It's kind of that same principle. That book changed my life. I got to read Atomic Habits now
Okay. I'm writing the slide edge down right now. I love to
because
read.
yeah.
So
And The Slight Edge I recommend it to everybody because it's a very basic book, but it's so key to succeeding. But that ultimately, and I think sometimes I know for me, and I know you being a mom, you can probably relate to, but I did a lot of sports when I was young,
mhm.
and lot of football, wrestling, very individual sport, very disciplined. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to be. And I also for many years and still love the sport is BMX freestyle. Like I love everything that have to do with bikes. Like, and there's a lot of discipline in that. Learning, I used to go and ride in ramp contests and things like that, and um, there's a lot of discipline that goes along with that. And I look at that, that definitely plays to my advantage today because I understand the mindset that goes into, somebody who wants to be good at something. You have to practice it over and over and over. It's been played out ad nauseum, but Michael Jordan, like one of the greatest basketball player of all time. I mean, he didn't get to where he was simply sitting around doing nothing and contemplating whether he was going to go out and practice. You got to do
Right.
it, you know?
He had to do it. That's part of it. That's what, oh man, what was I going to say? I just lost it. It was such a good point.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you've got to make yourself do it. Oh, so many people say, trolls, you're one of the lucky ones, you know, and Mark, like, I hate to be sappy because my life has been blessed that I'm not lucky. Like, I mean, I had a bad car wreck at 16. I broke both my legs. I will forever walk with a limp. Um, I lost a child. I went through a terrible divorce, like my husband we struggled with addiction. Like if I looked at my life on the outside, I wouldn't say Sarah's lucky, you know, they're talking about my business though. And sometimes there's some luck involved in a video going viral. I'm not going to pretend like, but the harder you work, the luckier you're going to get. Like, you increase your odds of being lucky if you keep doing it. You can't put one video out there and be like, "Ooh, I hope I'm lucky." Like, that's not how it happens.
Yeah.
It's every day doing the rep, getting stronger, getting more comfortable. Mel Robbins, she talks about that. Just do the rep. It doesn't happen overnight. You wake up every day and you make the decision to get a little bit better every day. And that's how it happens.
So it's interesting too, you say that because, right now I just put this out on Facebook yesterday, I think, but I haven't really talked about it. But I'm on sugar cleanse. I have not had sugar in like 6 weeks. And, I've been just totally committed to losing weight and getting healthy. And literally in 6 weeks of cutting out sugar, as of today, I'm down 30 pounds from where I was. But here's the funny part, okay, is that I don't care where you're at, what level of success you got, you've always got something you can work on and get better with. And one of the things that I always felt like when I was sharing stories and things like that was, I would say, look, you can't just go to the gym and expect to, get 6-pack abs, with an hour in the gym one time, and that's what people do in their business a lot. They make one video and then they put it out there. It doesn't do anything. And then they make another and doesn't do anything. And then they're like, oh, this doesn't work, and
Right.
so, but for me, like what I've learned throughout this process over the last 6 weeks, cutting out sugar was harder than a mofo. Like, I don't even know how else to say it. Crazy hard. And it's not been easy. But I'll tell you what, seeing the results of where it's going really shows me where I'm going, and I'm really excited about it. But one of the things that also helped was hiring a coach. That helped me in a huge way, but anyway, my point is that when you're doing something at the beginning, it's always going to be harder. Always hard at the beginning. I think there's even a Bible verse that says that it's always harder at the beginning of a thing. And so anyway, I wanted to share that.
So I want to know, other than the weight, how do you feel? Like, is it real that like when you cut out sugar, like the brain fog's gone, your sleep is
It's
better?
incredible. It's incredible.
I
mean,
I did it for like a week.
I mean, it's amazing. Like my goal, and the thing is I'm actually leading up to doing a 7-day fast. And I've been moving my way up there. So I started out doing 3 meals a day, no sugar. I cut it down to 2 meals a day. Just yesterday, I cut down to 1 meal. So I'm only doing 1 meal a day right now. And probably the next 2-3 weeks, I'll be cutting it out where I'm going to do a whole 7 days with nothing except water and, things like that. But the thing is that it's not like, even with this, for me at least, I can't just wake up and go right to doing them. Like, it was a workup period. I'm very confident I'll be able to do it when that time comes. But it's like that with anything. I always say there's a plant, cultivate, harvest cycle, and none of us can avoid it. Anybody who doesn't like it, talk with God. Pick it up with him. He's the one that set that up that way, But that's the way it is. It's like, create a video, cultivate, harvest. And you keep doing that. And most people create one video. It's like planting a seed and then they stand over it and they wait. It's like, just keep going, going, going. And next thing you know, it's like this, 1 or 2 videos take off and your whole life has changed,
Yeah. Well, and so much of it too, like I heard, she's a really good friend of mine, actually. She said, the algorithm doesn't like me. And I'm like, well, first of all, sometimes, yes, I know social media can be,
Yeah.
moody. But like, instead of spending your time making excuses, spend your time looking at what did work, because, and that's another thing. Whenever I told my story, Mark, I told the high point. And I think that sometimes beginners get discouraged because you only hear the high part. Mark, I was sending for 2 weeks people who were interested in the wealth niche information about a dog brain training offer. For 2 weeks, did that. And I'm still successful. Look, so for anybody who listen or whatever, and you think, oh my gosh, I made a mistake, I'm never going to be successful. No, you literally have to just pick yourself up and keep going. If I had taken If I had said, oh my gosh, I messed that up, I'm going to take a break for a month, and that would have just delayed my success. You just kind of have to, don't look back. You're not going that way. Move forward, learn from it and move forward. Don't, so many people waste so much of their mental energy and just their mental health, really beating themselves up for things they did yesterday or even 5 minutes ago. Like, you, it's a waste of time. It is so non-productive to do that.
Oh.
And just, just move past it, move forward, change for the better that way. And that, there again, it's one of those life lessons that you learn as you get older that just told you I'm making this course. I've got, 30 people, a little bit more than that going through it with me, building it.
Yep.
And I just keep telling them, they're like, well, I bought a training a year ago. I'm like, okay, good. What are you going to do today? And they're like, well, I'm still upset about that. I'm like, well, then either use that training or
Yeah.
do something different. But like you got to just move past it.
Yeah.
So
It is like, it's a never ending, process of, especially with what we do, you're always going to be up in your skill. Like, I
always.
always tell people when you buy a course, it's not going to be the last course you buy.
No.
Like, I literally just bought a course a couple days ago. I've been devouring it, like tons of little nuggets,
Mhm.
There's one time I bought I think one of my strong points is I'm really good on webinars. Like, I just feel that's a skill I've developed. And I bought a course a couple years ago and it was $1,000 for a webinar course. And I had already kind of mastered webinars and selling on webinars. And I'm like, but I'm going to buy this because if I get one or two things out of it, it'll be totally worth it. As I'm going
Mhm.
through the course, I'm like, yeah, I know I know this, I know this, I know this. This is what I already do this, I do this. And then dropped one little thing. And I was like, that's brilliant.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. And then I went through and got another little thing. And I was like, I went through the rest of it and I got those two little things. Oh my gosh. I can't even tell you how much those two little things have made all the difference in the way I
Mhm.
present it, you know?
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't mean that was a webinar course. I literally just bought another webinar course, no joke, a week ago. So, the point is that you're always going to like be increasing your skills and investing in yourself. And I think that's another thing that, people kind of want. It's almost like the lottery mentality. They're going to throw some money in and all of a sudden it's going to throw some back out, and the missing part is the action. So,
For sure. For sure. And I think if you ever think I'm in a referral partners group with a company that I'm an affiliate for. And I guess her name, like the affiliate manager, I guess you would call it. He made like this big PDF that had like hook and call to action. And it was helpful for like beginner marketer. And I commented on it. I was like, wow, like that's really awesome. Thanks. I can't wait to look through this. And she private messaged me and she said, Sarah, I'm so new at this. Why do you think you could learn anything from me? And I was like, well, because I'm still learning stuff every single day. Like I I love still learning new things. There was a hook in there and I was like, I've never really thought about it that way. I mean, I'll learn something from her. So, and
absolutely.
that's what at the masterminds I've been to, I've sat and listened to every single person speak. People who were newer than me, people who were doing way better than me, because I can learn something from each and every one of them. And I kind of think a weakness is when you think that you're the smartest person in the room. But everybody can offer you something.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It absolutely is a weakness. Like, I, I, I think I've been around this long enough to see that the marketers that are still around today, all these years later, are really some of the most humble, ready to learn, always open people. Like, not they don't believe their own press releases, things like that. And but you know what I mean? It really is like you have to have a certain humbleness because um you just have to. None of us, whenever we think we've reached that pinnacle and we're just the smartest one and we walk around with this God complex, that's the moment
Mhm.
you're gonna go down. Like,
Yep. Like
you're not,
pure.
yeah, you're on your way out. So, but so anyway, I think that's why we gel so much, because I get that same vibe from you. And that's really the way I, try to approach this. So but So yeah, things are going great for you, and I couldn't be
Yeah.
more happy for you. I knew I wanted to have this chat with you when we met at the event, and
Thanks.
but what? So I know it's kind of cliche to ask this, but you know, for someone just starting out, as we kind of close out here, what advice would you give them? You know, I mean, I think we've talked a lot about it today, but if we had to put a a bow on this and really kind of leave people with something that will help them, what would you say?
I would say, I know, like, I realize everybody goes into a business to make money, and I get it. Like, and I know I've made money, and so it's easy for me to say that. But earlier this year, somebody asked me the question, "What do you really want?" And I, I had to pause because I was like, I don't know. What do I really want? Like, it wasn't a brand new handbag or a new vehicle. What do you really want? And my point there is that most of what you really want does not have a physical object attached to it. Like, what do I want? I want my kids to be happy and healthy. I want to make memories with them. I want to be present. So focus on what you want and figure out a way to weave that into it, and make sure whatever you do, like in your business or whatever, and you kind of said this earlier, that it aligns with you morally. Like, you got to feel good about it. Like, and I'm still trying to work on the work-life balance, like, my kids are just now home from school and it's summer and my mind is in a million places. But sometimes I just have to slow down and be like, I did this kind of work for them. So I'm not gonna let my work be more important than them. I mean, not having sacrifices, I don't mean that, but
Yep.
just find your purpose
Yep.
and know what you're going after and be very, very clear about that. Uh, and one thing I've said, and I think I actually said this to you at supper when we were at the in my mind, my next big goal is to hit the $1 million mark. But I don't even really know why that's a goal of mine right
Yeah.
now, because it's not. I have to make a living. But I'm really happy. Like, I'm serving this community that I'm serving, these
Yeah.
people, and I'm helping them, and that's what I feel good about. Like, that's what brings me fulfillment. Not ever like my coaching calls tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make any money from that coaching call. They've already, but that I walk away from those feeling like I've helped people.
Yeah.
So I think that's my point. Like, know what your passion is and why you're going after it. And if you focus on helping other people, then the money will become kind of like oh, that's nice. But you're going to feel a lot better about yourself because you're making a difference.
Yeah. I love that. Because there is a point where it's like, you know, you can make a lot of money, but if a lot of people aren't getting real value and being helped in the process, in the end, it kind of becomes this empty feeling. And so the idea is ultimately you really want to be, helping people get over that
Mhm.
hump, make changes. And, I think that's one of the most rewarding things. So,
Definitely. It is for me, which, and it took a while to get here, but, and I always give this free advice. Take all the free advice people give you. Like, there's no telling how many free things I've taken from marketers that I respect. I'm watching that. Heck yeah, I'm getting that. It's free. It's
yeah,
free advice. Take it. Take it.
love that. So, Sarah, where can everybody connect with you?
Well, I'm still a TikTok girl, but really my Facebook group is where I'm at right now. And it's called Health Homepreneur. Um, but it's like I'd have to invite them to it, but they're more than welcome to be in there if they want, learn from what I'm putting in there if they want to. It's a free community, free resources in there.
Cool.
So that's where my community is. That's what I mean. That's where my people are.
Cool. So they can connect with
But
you on Facebook too. I'll put your link down there, and
sure.
if
Yeah, that'd be great.
you're on my
That'd
blog,
be
look
great.
right below this video. If you're on YouTube, just look in the description. I'll put it there. But Sarah, it's great. I'm so happy we
Yeah,
got to connect here and talk a little
me
bit. I'm
too.
sure we could probably talk for hours. Uh, uh,
Good.
but when it really gets down to it, a lot of people want to talk strategy, and honestly, strategies change constantly. But what we're talking about today is really the meat and potatoes of what it's going to mean to be successful. Because I
Mhm.
tell you right now, like what was working when I started, it does not work.
No, no.
I mean, it just does not. So it's like the means will always change, but the principles the underlying bedrock principles of success will always remain the same. And we hit on that today.
Okay.
All right,
For
dude.
sure.
Well, you're awesome. Appreciate you.
Oh,
And
you.
thanks for coming on. And everybody, if you like this, share it. If you leave us a review on iTunes and leave a comment here on my blog if you're watching, ever comment somewhere and let us know what you got out of it. All right. Bye, guys. Talk soon.
Bye. Thanks, Mark.